progressistas, norte-americanos invadem o nosso país, sul-africanos invadem o nosso país, zairenses invadem o nosso país. Este trio bandoleiro terá que ser julgado após a independência. No campo da revolução, norte-americanos invadem o nosso país, sul-africanos invadem o nosso país, zairenses invadem o nosso país. Este trio bandoleiro terá que ser julgado após a independência. No campo da revolução, norte-americanos invadem o nosso país, sul-africanos invadem o nosso país, zairenses invadem o nosso país, norte-americanos invadem o nosso país, sul-africanos invadem o nosso país, zairenses invadem o nosso país, norte-americanos.
Hello, listeners. This is a new episode of Third Position Radio. As always, it is Lord Dark. Now, tonight, Weaponizer Gobos cannot be here because of work and stuff like that. So, with me today is.
Hello, everyone. My name is Comey. I am a high member of the AFUN Party. AFUN Party, I mean, I don't know how deep I should get into it all, but yeah, I'm 19. I run a small group, online group of Black, what I would refer to as Black intellectuals who are very focused on the future of the Black race.
All right, now, I know we have a lot of questions about AFUN, okay? Now, main question is this, okay? What does AFUN stand for?
AFUN, African Unionist.
Okay, now, is AFUN, like, what political ideology is AFUN?
Well, I mean, some would refer to it as fascism. For me, I'm more so, I would classify it under technocratic socialism, in the sense that, you know, we're focused on advancement and union, and while also, you know, having the race unified. I mean, I guess it would be closer to the, I guess, the fascist side of things. But you know, that's I feel like that's a bit of a stretch. I wouldn't necessarily classify it into that, but I guess some people would.
All right. Now, Comey, how did you get into, you know, where you are today? You know, how did you get into being politically aware stuff?
Well, I mean, and when I was younger, I was always aware, you know, that things are going on racially, and you know, I mean, it's pretty hard to ignore. You know, it's like I mean, not as drastic, but it's like, you know, a Palestinian, you know, kid not being aware of, you know, his homeland being taken or something. You know, and it's a bit impossible to not be aware of what's going on. You know, and when you learn history in school anyway, I mean, it's only going to make you aware. But you know, ultimately, to get to where I am right now, it was really during the Trump era. Before the Trump era, what happened was I was into, you know, business, economics, trading, things like this.
Yeah.
And, you know, that drew me to, you know, being aware of society in general. And then after that, I mean, this was when I was very young. I'm 19. You know, this is when I was like, you know, a couple years younger. And then Trump became president in 2016. And after this happened, I kind of just, I became a Trump supporter, actually. I was actually a Trump supporter for a while. And, you know, it made me aware of what you would call right-wing politics, conservative politics, you know, the same old Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens people. I used to be a Candace Owens supporter, things like this, and after that, that's where I became politically aware. Where I am right now, that's a different story. There's a little bit more to it, but as for the politically awareness, I believe Trump becoming president and politics becoming a part of society again, instead of, just liking a certain president because he's funny or whatever. That's what happened.
All right. Next question. Well, going on to AFUN back again. There has been, a lot of change in developments in the AFUN party. Care to elaborate?
Yeah, sure. Well, in the beginning, AFUN, it was kind of, I mean, mind you, I was younger when I started, right? So, of course, it was more, I guess crazy. Some would say radical or whatever, But it wasn't as, it develops because, the more you know and the more you accept and acknowledge about the world, things are going to change, So really, I just, it used to be more openly right, I guess you would say. It used to be more, talking about fascism and, like, oh, kill all this and that, whatever, just really crazy stuff. And honestly, even the logo used to be different, or not the logo, whatever, the insignia, it used to be different, and it would all just, kind of give people the wrong idea, and when you have any type of similarities to, the right, it really just, people just ignore it, and then dare you talk about, form of government that isn't fully democracy, and then, it's like, oh, he's Hitler, these guys are Nazis, and we still get that even as it is. It's always, black Nazis, whatever, it's just a bunch of stupid stuff. It's like this, though, people won't see what's really going on. They won't see what it's all about. When you see anything that's even remotely similar, to, I guess you would call a fascist form of government, people aren't thinking, fixing issues. They're not thinking economy. They're not thinking, social values. They're not thinking protecting the children. They're not thinking, saving a race. They're thinking about 6 million Jews dying. And that's all that comes to mind, And I'm not even anti-Semitic, Nobody in the group is anti-Semitic. Nobody in the group is, against any Jewish people, But nonetheless, when people see anything that's remotely close, that's all just coming to mind. So they won't really listen to our, economic ideas. In fact, I myself am a socialist to an extent. I don't believe in total just free market where people can become billionaires while there's another side of the country that's starving. I don't believe 1% of the population should have 50% of the wealth. And I'm not a Candace Owens type of shilling for the Republican Party or whites in general. I acknowledge, not even just acknowledge, I mean, literally, the beginning of how, all the issues of the black population are here today. I mean, well, ultimately, I could say it's, from weakness, failing to defend against the whites to begin with. But at the end of the day, it was them attacking. So, I always say, it's, I of course acknowledge it, but I never go into the pity parties that people want, So I had to kind of change a little bit the image, just so we can, the outreach can be a little bigger, so that people don't automatically ignore what we're trying to say by, believing that it's just Nazism, because it really isn't. I mean, come on, black people couldn't be Nazis, So, I mean, it's really a stretch, honestly. It's a gigantic stretch, and people love taking it. So we had to kind of, to sum it up for you, we had to kind of make our outreach bigger by not people who would, otherwise be in support of our group off. So that's kind of why we changed, the imagery and the way we talk.
Yeah. That makes sense. You're pretty much, you're marketing your party to make more broad and more expansionist, which is understandable. when I first heard about you guys, it was from a friend actually who told me about you guys,
Nice.
and when he told me about you guys, I was I was iffy on it because I was like, all these guys really black nationalists, are they really black fascists, are they this and that, or it's just a troll, just a massive troll.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then he sent me some videos, some imagery and stuff like that, and then I joined the Discord. I was on the Instagram pages, the TikTok pages, stuff like that, and then it all hit me at once. I'm like, this is actually a serious thing, and I'm like, I would. I'm like, I would definitely support this. And matter of fact, no, I would support this because even though, like, even though personally, I've been in the United States like my whole life.
Yeah.
I was born here, I was raised here, etc., etc. Right?
Yeah.
Now, growing up, I was never really too interested in African history.
Right.
It never interested me whatsoever. But to like learn about AFUN, actually, to an extent, making me want to know more and more about African history.
Right.
And so from the bottom of my heart, that called me. I thank you very much.
Of course, man. That's our goal.
I thank you for waking me up actually to learning more about the Africans in Africa before the Europeans arrived.
Yeah, I'm glad you expanded.
Yeah, because because we gotta realize as blacks, school systems are not really going to teach us about our history because they took our history from us. They told us our history is just forbidden.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. On how I feel about AFUN. I do support you guys. I do love you guys. I love your artwork, by the way. I love your videos.
I appreciate
That. All that stuff I do love.
Thanks. Yeah, aesthetic matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
Go on.
No, you go first. I'll go.
Okay. Now, well, when I was going around showing when I was going around, yeah, I was showing this stuff around to the main host, Weaponized Goebbels. I show him your videos and stuff like that. He's
a Wignat, right? He's a white nationalist. Weaponized Goebbels.
Yeah, but
I would. Yeah.
No. He's not a Wignat whatsoever.
Oh, okay. He's not a white nationalist.
No, he's not. I mean, he was one, but he's not. He's not anymore.
He's like a paleo-conservative type of guy.
No. He is a futurist. Like he's still fascist, but he mainly subscribe to like futurism, like Italian futurism.
I see.
Yeah, but Weaponized Goebbels, he's not a bad guy. He's actually pretty good. Me and him, we've been friends for like 6 years at this point. Nice. Yeah, so he's not a Wignat or a National Socialist, but he does like the aesthetic of National Socialism.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but besides that, he's like iffy on the whole. He's iffy on the whole African Pan-Africanist movement. And I'm like, Weaponized. You gotta realize, okay, these guys want to make Africa whole. They want
Yeah,
to,
it's
you
interesting.
know,
It's like, well, one,
mhm.
I'm guessing this is a European person.
Yeah,
I find it
yeah, he
funny.
is.
I find it funny when like Europeans and Arabs, it's always specifically Europeans and Arabs, commenting on this specific situation. And mind you, Europeans and both Arabs invaded Africa and successfully invaded a lot of it.
Hmm.
Much of Africa is Arabized, and much of Africa is, I guess you would say Europeanized or whatever.
Hmm.
Has picked up European Arabic culture. They picked up their religions, etc. So obviously, these people, they're gonna have pride in this. Some of them will say it openly, some of them not so openly. They're happy about it. So these people don't want that to happen. If I've messed with someone for a long time, and they're weak, I'm gonna feel a little better if they're weak, right? Because I've messed with them,
Yeah.
they probably dislike me a lot, right? So I mean, obviously, if they're gonna be strong, then I'm gonna be pretty worried. So I mean, they're gonna constantly say, they bring up this, Africa is the most diverse continent in the world, blah blah, whatever,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, whatever, you just fuck off. Europe has had way more wars than Africa combined. I mean, trying to conquer and unify Europe would be harder than trying to conquer and unify Africa right now. And
Oh yeah. Oh
it's
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. Because the Poles, they pretty much hate everybody because the Poles always get conquered. Germans and the French always go fight each other. The English and the French are going to fight each other often. Et cetera, et cetera. It's always going to happen. And yes, Europe always been not united
right,
in any sort of way.
right, yeah. So it's just like,
I mean, to be honest. Look at it. This history, all these wars are fought for a reason. You think these people are going to unite? No, they don't. No, they won't unite. And the funny part is also with like white nationalists. This is the funny part with it also. Like the majority of white nationalists say, they want to have like a united Europe, are mainly American. Like we all know this. Like if you're American and you say you want to unite Europe, you're obviously just having a fancy drink.
yeah. I mean, it's just, and I wasn't even saying that to be like, well, look
Mm-hmm.
at you guys or whatever. It's more so
Yeah.
like, it's more to say, the EU is alive, and you have the other side, which is Russia, right? It's
Yeah.
practically Russia, and then the EU, right? So you have these two, unified forces of Europe. You could classify them as unified forces of Europe, and there's mainly just two, and and the reality is, if you can manage to pull this together, the places has had more wars in
Mm-hmm.
all of history, then I don't believe that it's going to be all that hard for Africa to do similar. And it's funny
Yeah.
because, like, yeah, so they can mind their own business. Honestly, I don't concern myself too much with what's going on in Europe, but
Me.
I find it
Yeah.
funny
Me.
that they like
Yeah.
to
Me.
concern themselves with what's going on and with Pan-African ideology.
Yeah, Europe do its own damn thing, just mind African business, just stay out African foreign affairs, stay out African politics. It's none of your business. But Waiting Acts, pretty much American Waiting Acts, they want all this to happen, but they keen to forget, all these people in Europe hate each other.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things going on in Europe, and like I said, I don't like to concern myself with Europe too much.
Mhm.
I don't, it's simply just a message to say, hey, I don't know why you're so concerned. I mean, really, I know why they're concerned if they like to talk about it so much when we bring it up. But it's like,
Yeah.
what does that have to do with you? And the reality is nothing. So I rather just I don't really give in when anyone else is conversating, and usually, yeah, I really just try to talk to more and more African Black people about it, and not
Yeah.
not concern myself with those who disagree.
Yeah. Getting back to the continent of Africa. Okay, so how would AFUN be on the continent wise?
How would we be on the? How would we? What do you mean? What do you mean? In what sense?
Okay. Oh, okay. In what sense, what country in Africa would AFUN be, in the elections and stuff like that? Where,
Oh,
like your first base and stuff like that on the
yeah,
continent wise. Yeah.
yeah. That's more so. That's more so planning that that's more so for the future. It's
Hmm.
not things that.
Because,
I'll say this. I'll say this.
mhm,
I'll say this. I can only say so much on that, right? But
all right.
it the governments of Africa currently are not controlled by Africans, and the moment
No.
African governments try to do what they want to do,
Mm,
you're going to see assassinations occur. All right, there's been over 40 of them within the last about like 80 years. The
yeah.
first one was Sylvanus Olympio from Togo, and a couple others from Nigeria, Patrice Lumumba, etc. There's been so many. So the reality is, trying to do things a certain way is not going to work. So
Mm.
you're gonna have to figure things out without doing them um, in the wrong way. I'll say I can only go so much in detail anyway.
All right. Because me personally, I would say Ghana or
Hmm.
Liberia.
I see.
Liberia because it was a American colony,
Mm.
and Ghana because it was the first African independence, well, first African nation to gain independence besides Libya.
Right. Yeah.
No, 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 oh, no, sorry, not Libya, Liberia.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but but besides those two, also, just those two.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about the economic freedom fighters? Because I do see you have a favorable view of them, which kind of confused me a little bit. But then again, we did say you are a socialist. It kind of makes a little more sense now. But go on.
Yeah. So the EFF, and I believe it's a very good group. I have been speculating as to if there's a bigger communist country that's behind them, but
Hmm.
it's a Pan African um, group, which is one part that of course we're gonna like. Second, they understand who our enemy is. It's South Africa. The majority of the land there, the majority of the wealth still doesn't belong to the native people. And
Hmm.
the EFF understands that they're not going to get it back until they take it back.
Yeah.
So they understand what they need to do, and they believe in unity. They support who they should support. They're
Hmm.
against countries like these ultra capitalists, just global capitalists. Israel,
Yeah.
coming into the AU to try to control everything and try to do what
Hmm.
Israel does, and they're doing what's right. What the things they say are correct for Africa, and I just believe their ideals align with us, And I'm not a communist. I'm not sure if they're necessarily Marxist or not. They give off Marxist vibes. I'm gonna
Yeah.
read into them a little bit more,
Yeah. Um,
yeah.
to get into EFF a little bit more, you know, we all know them for that, that one controversial thing, but pretty much, how I say that again? Taking the land without compensation.
Taking the
That's,
land back.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they're taking the land back from the boys and stuff like that. Now, now pretty much, every redneck, national socialist, et cetera, been all up in arms about it.
Right. Of course they are.
Now, me, I can see it. Well, I can see it in two ways, really. Because at the same time, I'm like, I can, I understand. I understand. Yeah, it's farmland. Yes, they did. You know, grow the crops and whatever, stuff like that, et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, it's not their land.
It's not whose land? The Boers?
No, it's not the boys' land. It's the natives' land.
The African, the native people, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes. I say native people because like South Africa, they do have a lot of native Africans, and I can't name all. I can't name all of them on top of my head right now.
No, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So yes, a lot of people are saying oh, this is bad and stuff like that. But well, me being me, when I first heard about it, I said, oh yeah, that is bad. But then but then when I really, but then when I started to like look into it more and more, asking myself, nah, it's not bad at all actually. What's the point? It's not bad. It's their land. Get off the land already.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, I mean, essentially they've taken it, right? They've had it for a couple, um, and
Yeah.
the Boers I'm talking about. The Boers have taken the land, and
Yeah.
they had it for a while now. And the reality is, they feel as though, hey, this is our land now. We want to keep it. Our ancestors stole it, and we want to keep it. And that's the end of it. That's what they want. So, and now
Mm-hmm.
it's a choice of like, do we care that these people want the land, or trying not to take what's yours? If you believe the Europeans,
Yeah.
they came from Europe, they came through and they took it. So their view is, well, of course, yeah, I want to keep it. But
Mm-hmm.
it's about strength. I believe the EFF and the Native Africans, of course, should take their land back. But at the end of the day, I don't really play into. In a moral world, of course, we would take our land back, right? We would have it back. They would say, "Here you go, this is your land," right? But this isn't a
Mm-hmm.
moral world; it's a world of strength. So
Yeah.
we have to be able to get the land back, make use
Mm-hmm.
of it in the right way, and make sure it can't be taken again. That's really, you know,
Oh yeah.
that's
Oh yeah. Of course. Now, also, the Chinese. Yeah, the Chinese also. The CCP is also getting into Africa. What are your takes on it?
well. Here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Anything having to do with the CCP, me personally, say I was in control today, I would probably continue much of it. Well, I definitely wouldn't be giving over airports. I wouldn't be taking loans that couldn't be paid back. But
Mm-hmm.
the Belt and Road Initiative, things like this, I'm not necessarily against it, but there'd be no military bases in Africa, right? What I would do is I would continue a lot of these things, except there would be zero migration or immigration. There'd be zero Chinese people in Africa, none. Maybe like workers, a low amount of workers who are there. They can't vote. They're not citizens. They can never get citizenship. They have like essentially what is a green card or
Yeah.
a theoretical working card
Yeah.
where they can be there, but they can't work. I mean, they can't vote. They can't, they will never have any control over the nation, and no military bases, things like this. Things like this wouldn't be occurring. They couldn't take
Yeah.
airports, nothing like that. Essentially, any business could keep occurring, but there would never be any type of Chinesification of Africa. Essentially, that would be my policy.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, now that's out the way. How do you feel about Afrikaners or boys like saying they want to join your party, or or join like the EFF and stuff like that?
Afrikaners, Afrikaners like Boers, right?
Yeah, pretty
Like
much.
South Africa. I mean, I would. I mean, I don't know if they would. I mean, if they did, theoretically speaking. I mean,
Because sorry to cut you off. Because like there are some Afrikaners that actually joined the EFF.
right. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
it's crazy to be honest, but at the same time, it's like they at least understand the land needing to go back to the natives.
Right.
Yeah.
If it was me, I mean, I would be completely fine with it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
If they would support the things I support. Really, at the end of the day, I'm not a quote unquote racist. I'm not anti-white. I don't hate every last white in existence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm simply anti-imperialism.
Yeah.
Anti-imperialism. That's just essentially it. So with the white, if there was, theoretically, whites trying to join our group or whatever, it would simply just be, I think it's very possible actually. Any non-imperial whites who don't support the imperialism, whites who aren't,
Mm-hmm.
anti-black, whites who don't want to mix the black race out of existence. I wouldn't see an issue with that, honestly. But I mean, I don't think that's gonna happen though. But that's
Yeah.
essentially. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care. They would just have to be in
Yeah.
support. If they did try to join, they would be in support. So I think there actually is many whites that are like that. Many whites who are saying, okay, well, I understand that you care about your race, and it's very obvious that for instance, France robbing 14 West African nations and literally taking, I believe, 85% of their money and keeping it in a bank in France.
Yeah.
Things like this. The Boers in Africa
Mm-hmm.
taking up all the wealth in South Africa. Things like, if you're against this and I'm against race mixing. I don't know if you know this, but I'm against race mixing.
Mm-hmm.
Things like this. If you agree and you understand that, hey, these guys are just trying to, keep their race together, fix the issues, and essentially all you'd have to do is stay out of the way. Essentially, that's literally it. Just
Yeah,
don't
pretty much.
engage in imperialism. Don't, try to mix our race out of existence, and I really
Yeah.
don't care.
Okay. Well. Okay. That's also going to our next subject. Okay. What is Zamet? What is the Zamet race?
Oh yeah, that's great. I'm glad you asked. The Zamet race is essentially black people. I don't use the word black, and I often don't use the word. But for the sake of this interview, since it's the first time, I'm not specific terms, so I use black a lot, and I use African. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't use those words because one, African is literally a European name. Okay, many of the African nations, practically all of them, are European names. Like these countries were named by Europeans. The current African countries, you know, um, black is a fucking European word. White, Anglo-Saxon word, and
Mm-hmm.
Negroid, which is the
Mm-hmm.
racial word, I guess you would say, is also European. So I don't use their words. I kind of made up our own name. Essentially, it's what a Negroid is, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so I don't use those I don't use their words anymore. Zamet is essentially just a black person, right? And a not and a black person who has 3 to 4 type hair, brown to dark skin. Essentially, anyone who doesn't have majority white blood, or or at least it isn't obvious. So essentially, just black people who are obviously black. So the only people that excludes is like Zendaya type people who proclaim to be black. Those type of people. It's to purposefully make an identity so that you don't have people who are like have one drop. The one drop rule is just destructive, and it ruins identity. That's like we all start identifying as white, and we expect to for them to just act like we're white, and they have no identity. You know what I mean? It's really robbing of identity, the one drop rule, and it's to kind of tackle that and fight it so that anyone can't just classify themselves as black. We have to have an identity in order to rescue. You can't, if you're looking for specific color in the sea, and only it's like there's 3 different animals in the sea, right? One of them is drowning. If you don't recognize which one is drowning, then you're just gonna go out there and take anyone out the water. So you have to be able to recognize identity. There needs to be identity. If everyone's identifying as this, then you won't know which one you're trying to save here, which one you're trying to help. So that's essentially what I'm trying to do with that word Zamet, to identify. But to sum it up to you, a Zamet is a brown, black person, brown or dark skinned person, even light skin really, with 3 to 4 type hair. So people with loose hair, very loose hair, um, and light skin are not black in my book. And in reality, they're not black at all anyway. So that's what a Zamet is.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense now.
Yeah.
All right. God, any more questions I have? Why are you still here?
Well, you did have a question before we came on about Somalis that I want to just get out the way.
Sure.
We already talked about it, but yeah. So essentially, uh, you know, people, if you look at our maps, a lot of times Somalia is not included along with Ethiopia. I think the North Africa question, that's pretty obvious why it's not in the map a lot of the time. But as Somalia, I believe that much of Africa is Arabized and no longer has black African culture. They're so Arabized. I mean, essentially might as well be Arabs at that point. And I believe much of Horn Africa is Arabized beyond beyond repair. So there's nothing wrong with that. If they identify as Arab, which a large amount do, or identify with their religion first before race, that's fine. That's not a problem, especially when it's Somalia, right? I don't see an issue with that. If they decide to identify as that, it's fine. I have no issue with that. I'm not a one that will force. Like I'm not gonna go out there and be like, well, you guys need to identify as black, or you guys need to stick with the team or whatever. It's fine. But I don't include them in the map because I feel they're more Arab than they are quote black or Zamet or African at this point. So that's all there is to that. There's no hate or anything like that. There's a lot of trolls. There's a lot of Somali trolls online, things like this. But I'm not one to get concerned with it. I kind of just, like I said, my goal here is to really just unify those who want to be unified, and those who are, who would like to be excluded from this. I say, okay,
All right.
yeah.
Well, okay. Now getting back to like the mainland U.S.
Mm.
The territories on the map that AFUN created. What are these territories? What are these states about? and what are the historical, meaning to blacks? Mainly in the South.
Right. Okay. Well, I don't know how much I should go into that, but I will say this: African Americans need to have leverage. They need to have ability to, affect what happens to them, because it seems as though it's one-sided. Other people are deciding what's happening to the minority, and the minority isn't deciding what's happening to themselves at all. Drugs, guns, disgusting rap culture has been pushed into African. I wish we would have talked about that actually, but disgusting rap culture, drugs, and guns has been pushed into African American communities, and African Americans aren't really having the leverage to stop this type of stuff. They're not allowed to police themselves. They can't stop if there is police brutality. They're not really. What can they do if the governors, the mayors, the city council members are all a bunch of white people, and these white people don't really care much about black people? Then there's not much they can do. The police officers are white. Then there's not much they can do. So there needs to be leverage amongst African Americans in order to fix their issues. And there's a number of ways for that to happen. So that's what I'll say about that. I won't really go much more in depth.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, to gun drugs, okay? Do you think in your best words, how would you stop the drugs in the black community?
How would I stop drugs? Well, one, the drugs are purpose. If the CIA wanted to stop drugs, they could stop the drugs. Okay, if the CIA can go out and find a fucking Taliban leader in the Middle East, they can stop drugs. Okay, I see people selling drugs on fucking Snapchat. All right, if the CIA and the FBI, whatever the fuck it is, if they wanted to fucking find these people, they could find them, but they don't want to. They don't care. They in the 80s, there's literally proof that they put the drugs into the black neighborhoods. So till this day, I believe they're still doing the same thing. All right, and it's just more justification to put people in jail, unreasonably. But for me, we would have to stop the flow of drugs from the people who are putting them in the neighborhood anyway, because black people don't have boats, they don't have the planes to move a bunch of drugs into their neighborhoods. So and these police, it's like it's ridiculous. These police think they had all this stop and frisk, ability, and still didn't manage to stop the drug flow into to black communities. And now they're legalizing weed. So what I would do is weed should definitely be illegal. It should not be legal. And then second, we have to have community leaders, right? Once there's community leaders, people who can actually deal with these things, there needs to be a black police force. And once there's a black police force with black leaders around, we can actually start to tackle these people. We can really start to have hard punishment for the right people. These, whites are just the white government, the people in government are majority white right now. So that's why I say these white people. They're just gonna use it as justification. They're gonna allow it to flow into the neighborhood, and when it starts reaching a bunch of fucking 16-year-olds, a bunch of people who don't really want to see black 16-year-olds existing in society are gonna go use it as justification to give them 10 years in prison for having an eighth of weed. So essentially, what we would do is we kill drug dealers. Okay, you have to use real force with these people and get rid of them. And we have to stop the glorification of this type of lifestyle and this way of doing things as well. So we have to get rid of the media, the people in the media, these stars who are controlled by a bunch of board teams made up of white people. This all needs to be shut down. They should be imprisoned for what I refer to as mental terrorism. So once this is done, we can start to really fix the issues, with the drugs. There's going to be less drug flow. Now, it's a one thing to say, we can stop all drug flow to the point where there's never any drugs around. But if you have a society that hates drugs, a society that's focused, you have people seeing clearly that drug dealers are being put into prison, and you don't have a bunch of people who are literally growing up and watching a bunch of media that says, well, the coolest people around are drug dealers, and the kids want to be them, and the kids think these are the cool guys, the kids want to sell a pack or whatever. If this isn't happening and people are disgusted by drug dealers, they're going to be fine calling cops on them. And when the cops are people that the people can trust, they're going to be fine calling the cops on them even more. So the community is a community issue. The community has to want to hate these people first for putting poison into their neighborhoods and putting poison into their children. And then on top of that, they have to see these people getting hard punishments so that they can know, like, okay, well, I don't want to go into this. So those two things to fix the issue.
All right. Now, also, sorry, in your videos, we also see, clips and audio edits of the Black Panther Party, the leaders also.
Yeah.
Just because, or
yeah, the Black Panther Party was a good thing. I'm in support of the Black Panther Party until they went intersectional, and tried to become intersectional, and they lost touch, and that's what happened with a lot of these groups. They tried to play the liberal game where they try to get accepted by everyone instead of doing what's actually necessary. You need strength, and you need unity, and you need order. And you don't need to have a party where everyone feels accepted or whatever, because it's like this. I've made a couple memes of well, that's a whole different issue, but yeah, I support the Black Panther Party for the most part.
All right. Now, me personally, I do like the party. It's just the whole Marxist-Leninism thing I'm not a big fan of. Other than that, I do support the party.
Right. Let's see.
Now, Malcolm X, Malcolm X also. I see a big supporter of Malcolm X, which I do like. I do hold respect for Malcolm X.
Yeah, same here.
Um,
Also, so he went intersectional.
Yeah. There was something else also. What? Eh. Uh, what else? Anything else you can think of?
No, not necessarily. I mean, no, I'm just, I really, I wanted to just clear up the whole,
Mm-hmm.
people like to believe that we're, evil fascist Nazis or wannabe Nazis, and it's just not the
Yeah.
case. I think there are certain aspects of, the National Socialists of Germany at the time that are, things you could look up to. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
not killing 6 million Jews, but other things, the unity,
Yeah.
the ability to influence a large amount of people. The advancements technologically. There's a lot. But like I said, you really can't even say any of this type of stuff because, like I said, what's going to happen is people are going to automatically assume that 6 million dead Jews, and you agree with this. And that's just not the case. So I just wanted to clarify that. It's just not
Mhm.
the case. We're not anti-Semitic. Still, we're not.
All right. All
So
right.
yeah.
Now, that's right. Me personally, I'm just a classical fascist, aka Italian fascist. I don't. I specifically don't like National Socialism because they give fascists a bad name, personally, and that's like spit in my face, pretty much.
Right. Yeah. I mean, well. I like to ask you this. This isn't really about me. I would like to ask you. I think it's good to clarify. If
Mhm.
people are going to see this, um, when you say fascism, you mean like basically you don't like National Socialism because it's race based, correct? So you like fascism that's not race based.
It,
So
it
practically an authoritarian government that's not race based.
is that also. It's just like people all the time, say fascism and National Socialism are the same thing,
Mm,
which is far from the truth, really. To be honest,
I see.
it's just, it's just, yeah, it's just after the Second World War, Italy, fascism, Mussolini, all the other movements, they got thrown on the bus by the Allies and the capitalists and the communists, and saying, these guys are the same thing, and
Mm,
we're obviously not the same thing. Besides race, me personally, I'm not like a racist person. Now, yes, I can be that way, but personally, I'm not. I don't, see my whole thing is that, just not based on, your race. It's more based on, what can you bring to the table,
right.
that kind of thing. But, that's just my idea of it. Pretty much, like, I follow the Brazilian integralist model of fascism, which is, accepting all races into your movement and into your nation, whether it be Brazilian, Afro-Brazilian, Native, you know, regardless, they're all your brothers and sisters in a way.
Right. All right.
But but that's personally me.
All right. Yeah, I see. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, but
Is
that's
that
that's
that's it?
yeah,
Is that it
yeah,
then, right?
yeah.
Alrighty.
Mhm. But besides that, um, I
That's it.
also think, well, no, well, actually, no. There's one more question also.
Oh yeah.
So before we end this part, before we end the video, why isn't Madagascar?
I don't know, man.
I,
We just forget about Madagascar sometimes.
I know.
Madagascar is majority black people. Actually, we just forget sometimes. It's a
I
little island there. In the edits, we forget to make it. And,
yeah, because like I keep on seeing it, and I'm like why are they not including Madagascar also into the map and anything like that? I'm like, is Madagascar black? And I'm like, for Africans, and that's messed up. Then again, Polynesians also, all a thing. They're
yeah,
their own race.
yeah. No, yeah. A majority of people in Madagascar are actually black people. People that look like myself. Yeah, it's just yeah, no. No, yeah, we just forget to shade it in sometimes on the map.
Okay. Hey, okay. Anyone from Madagascar, okay? They didn't forget about you guys. You're still Zombie.
Yeah.
But anyways, this has been the Third Position Radio. Lord Dark and my guest here of the day, Comey. Please check out AFUN. You can find a website. Yeah, the AFUN Party. You can find a website. You can find a Twitter. You can find a Twitter. You can find their TikToks and stuff like that. Links I will put in the description of the video when it's done being edited. Other than that, thank you for listening. And this has been the Third Position Radio, and signing off.